Mm.
Mm-mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Another wonderful day in the
It's another
neighborhood.
wonderful day. You want to
JTN
know what I?
Studios.
You want to know what I did recently? That's
What'd
been a fantastic addition to my life.
you do?
So I got the new glasses. I bought new
They look
glasses.
good.
Thank you. The other thing I did is I bought Sorry, let me get my mic. I bought prescription sunglasses.
Dude, I thought about doing that.
That's a winner.
Is
That's a
it?
winner. It's a winner. 100% do it.
Okay.
You will never forgive yourself for not doing it sooner.
When I bought these ones off of like
Mhm.
Zenny, because they were like, I think they were like $7 or $8. I was like, heck yeah,
Yeah.
take that. I got the clip-on shades for them, which aren't bad.
Mhm.
Because I mainly just use them for driving. I'm wearing my glasses because most of the time now that I'm going to classes and stuff, and we have to wear the masks inside in classes.
Yeah.
I wear the contacts because I don't want the glasses get all fogged up if you don't have the mask pitched just right. And yeah.
Yeah.
But sunglasses,
But
prescription sunglasses.
definitely get prescription sunglasses. I mean, like,
Mm.
this is probably the most boring conversation to have. This is probably the cold open, but like, probably the most boring conversation to have.
I mean, it fits with
But
the race this past weekend.
you're correct. I just have like a little case that I just keep the sunglasses in the case, and I put it with like my wallet and my keys. Like where I put all my stuff that goes in my pockets, it goes with that. And so anytime I leave the house, I just grab them too,
Yeah.
and they come with me. And I get in the car. If it's sunny, I just switch these glasses out, put the sunglasses in the case. When I get to where I am, I just switch them back. It's the
Yeah.
best.
I was gonna say I would just leave them in the car, but I guess maybe that might not be good for the lenses. I don't know, but it doesn't really you don't have that real big shift in temperature overnight.
Yeah, well, you're technically not supposed to leave sunglasses like in extreme heat, which it gets very hot in cars in Florida. But for me, it's more of like I just like having them on me thing.
Yeah.
That's a me thing.
Yeah.
I like having them like
I would just
on my person.
like carrying them around and stuff. If like you go like say you go to Disney World. I don't know you to be a big Disney guy, but say you go to Disney
I know.
World.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to be carrying around the extra pair of glasses all day. That'd be my only. Unless you'd have to like wear like cargo shorts, so you'd have like the extra pockets. I like cargo shorts. But
when I go like anywhere that isn't like to work or like the store to get food, I usually have like a bag, and so I just put it in with my bag of stuff.
Okay. Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I'm a big bag
Get your little
guy.
sack.
I could like if I like did more stuff, I would be big in the backpack game.
Yeah. Backpacks
100%.
are nice.
Backpacks are nice, especially like a good good backpacks are so underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, just a boring conversation, but
that's conversation. I'm gonna turn these ads
the best
on.
One.
There we go.
Get those ads going.
Get our Fake Racers podcast
merch,
because this is a 2-person episode. Thanks AT&T.
Yep, AT&T is currently
Don't get
taking
AT&T.
Matthew Steelman and making him no longer. Matthew Steelman is kidnapped by AT&T right now. Currently,
yep.
They have him tied up, hog-tied.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Scandinavian style. That's not a thing. I just made it up. But
yep,
they got him.
They got him.
Can't come.
But he's not here for this episode, unfortunately.
So you're gonna have to deal with me again. Hello, I'm back.
Back.
Man, with scheduling and stuff, that
last
and my
week,
Discord exploded. It was great.
So last week, in my infinite wisdom, the first thing that went wrong was I decided to make sure Davey had the correct roles on our Discord.
The biggest mistake was to do the right thing.
So I changed it so he's just got the podcaster role since he's no longer a broadcaster with us. And that was your choice, if I was not mistaken. Unless I'm making things up in my head, because you didn't really like you weren't vibing with it with doing the live broadcast, which is fair, which is fine.
It's the thing. Okay, so I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm retired. I'm not gonna say I'm retired, but
he's just taking a sabbatical.
I am on a sabbatical from the broadcast because I suck at it, I think. So, here I have a little bit of leeway. If I really do something bad, I just make Joe work a little bit more.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I don't want to do that either, but it's better than if I did something bad on a live broadcast. It's very stressful. I don't mind doing it, and I think I would enjoy it a lot more, like if whenever this fantastic Windows 10 update comes that kills NR 2003 from my computer.
Doing it on iRacing.
Yeah, you could do that, or like even if like I don't want to race NR anymore, like I would have a lot of fun commentating like people that I know.
Yeah.
Because then I feel a lot more comfortable, and there's insight that I can give into each of those people. Whereas, who did I commentate for even?
We did TMP late models, I think, a couple times.
Yes, we did late models.
You were very, if I recall correctly, you were very uncomfortable. You didn't know everybody, which I understand because a lot of times when we've done our first races with leagues, I go in there and I'm very timid, and then eventually they understand, like, oh, this is Joe, and part of it is I put on a cult of personality while we do the broadcasts. It's a little different. It's a little different, Joe, than what the guys here at JTN see in Bristol. Definitely what Bristol gets to see, but because you gotta do that, right? There's a JTN Joe, and then there's an actual Joe, but.
And I think I did 2 or 3 races, and by the last one, I was way more comfortable than the first one. So I'm sure I would be fine.
It takes a while. It's fun to do. That's why we don't, when people say, "Oh, can I come do a race?" It's not, oh yeah, sure, come on. It's because it takes time to get used to it, and usually we don't have the luxury of time when it comes to putting on good productions for our leagues.
It seems like a silly, fun thing to do in your spare time to broadcast a race, but it's actually a lot of preparation. A lot of people don't understand that. Yeah. So maybe if you were in that group before, that we would kind of make fun of you for behind closed doors you would get the treatment of this guy's a jerk because he doesn't know anything, and he's like, oh, I just want to do it. Can I be on the broadcast? Like, don't be that guy. It's hard to do this.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to do it, but there's in my and you can probably agree with this. I'm a little bit of a control freak sometimes with things, especially with things that have my name on it.
Yes.
And whose name's on JTN? Oh, mine. So I like to know what I have. Like that's
John
why
T Network.
Yeah, that's why Ricky and Tommy have been so awesome, because I've known we've all known each other for a while now.
Yeah.
So we kind of, and this is not how we were supposed to start the show, but I don't really care anymore.
It's a good cold open, to be fair.
It's a great cold open. We're vamping. But there's that chemistry there, and I think you and we were still at a point where we were maybe like 2 or 3 months deep into this, and there was a long time Davey was under the impression that I hated him, and I was under the impression that Davey hated me.
Neither of which were true. I don't think.
So, we were still at that point where we were still kind of not working through things, but
feeling it out.
Yeah, understanding each other's boundaries. But now we're a little better. So I don't know.
Feeling it out.
I believe we have USORL Saturday night for sure. The rainouts in the past week. For anyone that's still watching and actually cares about our broadcasts, thank you first off, and thank you for all your support as always. But Race LM, which is a big server manager for a lot of leagues, primarily for us for All-Star Racing on Wednesdays and Bomb Squad Racing on Thursdays, and whenever we have other Bomb Squad races. Their servers are getting upgraded. They've been down now for 2 weeks, or it will be 2 weeks. So I am very hopeful that their servers will be restored tomorrow for our racing, because then it's going to start making us run into issues that I do not want to have to deal with. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So just make sure, if you're watching out for those broadcasts, make sure you're staying tuned to our JTN socials. I also try to, at least post something in the live chat of the videos, so that way you at least know. And then, like last week, I forgot to change the date of the Thursday race to this week, until probably Friday or Saturday night, honestly. So just, if you're looking for those, you didn't see them, we don't go live for some reason, make sure you check out our socials. That's why it's so important to follow us. Johto Network Twitter, Johto Network Facebook, to make sure you stay up to date with that. But you got the Fake Racers podcast with myself and also Davey Hazard. And we're going to get right into things.
And him.
Let's get right into things. Las Vegas was fun. There were a couple different stories for each race. Let's start with the truck series. There's the truck series. So Sheldon Creed in his
Wow.
Okay. So big wreck coming off of turn 2. I can see how that's scary, because trucks at Vegas is pretty much just a super speedway, just like the Cup Series for, the first 10-15 laps is pretty much a super speedway. It's just the way the track's built. And yes. Sheldon Creed, in his infinite wisdom, dives down to the apron, sees the wreck happening beside him, thinks someone's going to hit him, gasses it up, and broadsides Chandler Smith, who's just sitting there. His post infield care center interview, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that, blah 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 blah. But I was just worried about getting clipped from the side, and I understand that. But what's the one thing you never do, Davey? Just when you're driving your car in general. When you're in, say, a thick fog, what do you not do?
Gas it up. I and here's the thing is I do totally understand the reasoning. I understand the reasoning, and it makes total sense from the perspective of he's not on a highway, he's in a race, and he's trying to gain spots, and I get it. It's tough because I've been in those situations before. Luckily, I've never hit anyone doing that, thank goodness. But I've been in those situations before where you have, something going on over here, and wham, something's in front of you. I can't even really say this about sim racing, because sim racing there's no risk, right? If I gas it up and I hit the guy,
safety rating in iRacing, maybe.
I'm not nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna plow the guy and he might be mad, but who cares? Because it's just a sim race. So I'm using real life examples. I've been in those situations before where you want to get out of that situation as quick as possible, and so I understand it. That said, the most rookie mistake you could probably ever make in a race car, in an incident where there's a crash in front of you, there are a plethora of drivers in the Cup, Xfinity, and truck fields that I would expect to make that mistake before Sheldon Creed, who's shown to be mostly pretty smart.
Defending series champion.
That too. Just a really dumb move. And I like Sheldon Creed, but it was dumb. It was just straight stupid. I'm sure he feels that way too.
Yeah,
but
it was pretty. He ran over to the 18 truck to make sure he was okay, but Mike Joy talked about it on his Twitter, and people kind of went at him he said he was sorry. Blah, blah. Sorry doesn't fix race cars. Is one thing I can say.
Nor would it have healed him if he got injured.
Yeah. But you and I, we've had this conversation, and I don't know if Matt was around for when we were having these conversations about respect and the driver's responsibilities to keep each other safe.
Driver accountability.
Yeah, we were primarily talking about that after Talladega in the spring. With Logano's wreck, but I don't want to say that that's what happened, because obviously it was a situation where he was trying to save his own race and just didn't. But it's sometimes it's troubling when the care for others isn't necessarily in the forefront of people's minds. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It's probably not. Maybe it's just me, but I think we should all care about each other. But you understand what I'm saying? It's troubling that didn't seem like it was a thought that went through his head.
Mm-hmm. I could really nail someone here.
Yeah.
I do not know what's in front of me, and
and people tried to say, oh, he backed off. Yeah, he backed off, and they showed his onboard, and then he gassed it back up. It's not. It wasn't about the speed he was going into the wreck. It's the fact that he smashed the accelerator. But Christian Eckes survived it along with the rest of ThorSport to finish 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the first time I believe in Truck Series history that a team has done that. Definitely the first time ThorSport's done it. But Eckes finally kind of validates his part-time duties in the 98, I think.
Yeah.
With getting the win. Still think Grant Enfinger probably should have been in that ride, and maybe you should have reevaluated your other drivers. Johnny Sauter. It is what it is.
I agree.
It is what it is.
I agree.
I'm sure Sauter would probably say he had this year, last year. He would agree with that. I wouldn't agree with me saying take his ride away, but I digress.
It would be.
But this brings up the interesting plot line of now there is one less spot available, or one less race available for someone to clinch their way to Phoenix in the Truck Series. We had Carson Hocevar did the intentional spin. NASCAR finally laid the hammer down on somebody, but when Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson or John Hunter Nemechek does the same thing, there won't be a penalty. So
yeah, that was I'm sure I'm
not
sure
it's not that it shouldn't have happened. It's the fact that, and it goes back again, another conversation we've had, inconsistencies in how we're doing the rules.
Yeah, like I listened to Bumper Clear, and they have the spot on, spot off segment, and they said Carson Hocevar gets penalized, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh yeah, spot on. It's like, well, yeah, but you're missing the important part where like the other guy who did it in the same race didn't get penalized at all. Like, where is it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Why did we not do that for him? I mean, we'll never know. But
he did it. Someone did it last week at Bristol, and they didn't throw a caution. I think Sheldon Creed spun in the corner, and then they didn't throw a yellow. Like,
yep.
The rules make no sense because like Hocevar stopped on the apron at 1.5 miles compared to Sheldon Creed being stopped in the middle of turns 3 and 4 at Bristol. Like, which one do you think would warrant the caution? So yeah. I don't know. But Eckes wins. Congrats to Eckes, ThorSport. Again, it leaves open that extra spot. Trucks go to Talladega this weekend, just like the rest of NASCAR. So it'll be a fun time. I already know who Davey's gonna pick to win the race. We don't even have to talk about it later tonight. Xfinity Series race Saturday night. It was a fun race. Not the greatest, but it was a fun race for sure. I missed probably the first hour and a half maybe because I was coming back from the Michigan football game, but I had to see the end of it, which was really fun. Josh Berry. What more can you say about Josh Berry and his
Josh Berry? Oh my God.
And again, thoughts and prayers with Michael Annett recovering from his leg injury. Hopefully he can make a recovery, get back to 100% at some point. But if you're Michael Annett, if you're the one team, if you're pilot, Flying J, you want to leave Barry in that one car the rest of the year, right?
Oh hell yeah! I mean, it is so unbelievable. Like Michael Annett could not be feeling worse right now. That car went from like 15th place car to winning a race just because he was out of it.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, and thinking back to Michigan, Barry probably should have won that race heads up with Allgaier. He gets the win here at Vegas. And this comes from a guy that we really just said, okay, he's just going to be good at, he'll be good at Martinsville, and that'll be his shot to win a race, and we'll see if he wins, and then he goes out and wins it. And has improved every time he's been on the track, and it's even more impressive because of the lack of practice this year too, right? So,
yeah. And I mean, he like you said, like he rallied late to make this one happen. Blew the doors off him by the end. I mean, was destroying them.
Yep.
Straight up beat everyone on track. I mean, it was unreal how much of a gap he made at the end of that race over his teammate. He came out behind Allgaier, right? Like right behind him
by like a second or two.
Gapped him. Yeah.
So very impressive run for Barry. This again brings up the same idea like for the Drivers' Championship. Now you kind of got one less race to win. You got Talladega and the Roval to finish out this round for the Xfinity Series, just like the Cup Series, which are two major wild cards. I know you'll be at the Roval. But, Riley Herbst had issues. Jeremy Clements also had issues, but I think we probably would have pinpointed Clements. Guys probably on the outside looking in the round of 8. Not that we wouldn't have done that for Riley, but he at least should be in good equipment. But it just makes this weekend's race at Talladega even more interesting. But we love to see. I think Jeb Burton was also involved. Colleague will be very good this weekend at Talladega.
Yeah.
Cup Series, Hamlin starts the round of 12 just like he started the round of 16, winning the opening race of the round. Hendrick drivers kind of had their little miscue on the pit strategy, which was kind of pretty funny. And Christopher Bell also had some late race struggles. First off, the gaff on Hendrick Motorsports. My goodness.
They missed that. I mean, it cost them that race. They were the fastest cars probably all on the racetrack, like every single one of them.
Yeah, I think Byron probably would have had a good shot to usurp Larson for the win by the end of the race, but I think he had a tire issue late with his wheel or something. But so everyone, it wasn't a good call, right? I can't argue that it was a good call. I can tell you what the intentions behind the call were. Vegas is a very tricky race to understand. If you look at the trends, a lot of times you do have a caution in the middle of stage 2. That's just what the trends say. But also, you've had races where you have that late race caution, you don't have the late race caution. You just all this crazy stuff seems to happen at Las Vegas. It's probably conducive of the 550 horsepower package and how that track races.
You could say it's a gamble.
It's hey, you got to roll the dice. So I think that was probably a big part of the struggle there. Just not too much more you can say besides that. They just kind of missed it. Now I think Alex Bowman and William Byron might both be on the outside looking in. I know Bowman for sure. With Talladega, which is, I don't think Bowman's really had the greatest of luck on the super speedways. Byron's obviously won at Daytona. Larson's plus 70, 60, 50, whatever he's plus, he'll be fine. And Chase had a good finish, so he'll be okay too, especially with the Roval looming. But I saw some talking about it. Is Denny Hamlin, not that he never was for some people, but is Denny Hamlin even more of a favorite for the championship by season's end, or is it still, Truex and Larson?
Dude, Larson's obviously going to be a favorite. Truex is consistent and fast. Everyone was talking about Ryan Blaney's getting hot at the right time. Ryan Blaney's getting hot at the right time when he won those 2 races on the trot, right before the playoffs or whatever. Denny Hamlin's getting hot at the right time. He is. I don't know if I'd call him a favorite, but I mean he's a lock for my Final Four.
So all of his splits are better this year than they were last year. Top 5s, top 10s, speed in the car, just like raw speed, is pure, I believe, is higher. I don't have those numbers. He is statistically better this year than he was last year, which is really scary considering all the wins he had last year. It's just the fact that Kyle Larson has been out there and has been so good, and Hendrick has put such a focus on the 550, which I think is a bigger story than people will admit to it being, especially once we go to Phoenix at the end of the year. So it'll be we will be watching with hopeful eyes, because Denny, love him or hate him, we don't need another Mark Martin in Denny Hamlin. Love him or hate him, Denny Hamlin. If you hate Mark Martin, I don't know what you're doing. But I don't want to see another driver have to go through that and have to answer those questions about, well, what does it mean to never win a championship? What is it? You know what I mean? So this could be the year for Hamlin. And a lot of people will probably go out and they will say, there'll be the Hendrick Chevy fans of the world saying that Larson was the rightful champion. And since that's a majority of the fan base, all of a sudden the playoffs will be bad again. Even though they were great last year, because that's how the tide rolls. But I don't know. It'll be fun to see, because Hamlin would definitely be a deserving champion if there ever was one. We have 2 races though left with the 550 package, and Gen 6 with Texas and Kansas in the round of 8. Don't know why that's the way the schedule is made up, but it is. So Texas is obviously probably not going to be a great race. Kansas has potential to be good because the spring race was pretty good there. So 2 races left, folks. That's all you got to deal with. Then we're probably going to go down to like 450 or something, but what we signed up for.
Listen, whatever gets us through until we get some turbo engines. Let's get turbos on ovals, please. Please and thank you. I mean, you kind of covered everything all in one shot there, honestly. Yeah. I don't really have much to add. The race was awful.
Okay, so you're going to hate me for this. But in that Jeff Gluck poll, I totally voted that it was a good race. Not because I was trying to be a contrarian, but I thought the strategy aspect of the race was pretty good. In terms of, like, you saw the big gamble by the Hendrick guys and it didn't pay off. I think that's always interesting. There's more stories than just the battle for the lead. Just because TV doesn't cover it doesn't mean it wasn't a good race. So, but I vote yes for most of the polls because I usually enjoy the races. No matter what happens. Even if my favorite driver wrecks out of the race lap 5, I still enjoy the race. I think other people should try that sometime. IndyCar finale was not as drama-filled as the broadcast tried to make it out to be.
It wasn't, but I thought it was a good race.
Colton Herta wins 2 in a row to end the season, so good for Colton Herta. Wins in his home track, right? Long Beach is considered his home track.
Yeah, I think so.
Good for Colton Herta, Brian Herta, Andretti finishing the year off pretty strong, especially going into next year.
Those guys are fast.
Where Rossi's gonna have to kind of. I don't know if Rossi needs to step it up or his team does, but someone in that 27 team is going to have to step up. And then Grosjean obviously being in the 28 might very well be an upgrade in the driver department.
Yeah.
But Alex Palou, for first year at Ganassi, right? Am I correct in that? First year at Ganassi, wins the championship. What more can you say about it's Spaniard, right? He's from Spain.
Yeah, he's from Spain, yes.
And what more can you say? Spaniard.
You sound like David Hobbs. God. I mean, honestly, all the drivers that kind of burst into the scene on IndyCar this year, Pato O'Ward, Alex Palou, like those guys, like both of those guys were, like people knew who they were, obviously, like they got seats in IndyCar, like they're IndyCar drivers.
Grosjean even, I think, outperformed what we all thought he would do. Yeah,
like just like so many fun storylines popping out of nowhere, and I mean, what more can you say? Well, I mean, my thing, disregard the championship. He beat Scott Dixon.
Well, Ganassi finally has a second driver. I think is the big thing, right? Like,
what was the stat that I saw on that 10 car? Like it had won like as many races in the past 10 years as it did this season or something like that, or it was like some stat like that.
Yeah, because pretty much since because like TK when he was in the 10 for a couple of years there, the middle of the last decade was decent, but not setting the world on fire like Palou did. And then after Dario obviously had his career-ending incident, there really wasn't anyone. I guess it was mainly TK, wasn't it? But
yeah.
Marcus Ericsson was in there? Not Marcus Ericsson. I always confuse them. Who was
Eric Marcuson?
Huh?
Nothing. I said Eric Marcuson, but it's a joke.
Who's the other guy at Arrow?
Why am I drawing a blank?
Pato and
what is his name? Why am I drawing a blank?
Because isn't he was at Ganassi before?
They literally talked about him because he was. Where are you at?
Unless I was right, but I'm definitely not right.
Oh, it was Rosenquist this season.
So Rosenquist was in the 10 car the last couple of years too. Didn't perform to the same level as Palou did. So it's interesting to see, especially with Ganassi probably refocusing as an organization, right, with the closure of the NASCAR team. I'm sure they're going to bring over a bunch of smart people from that department to help with the IndyCar and probably lose some people off the IndyCar teams that maybe go to other organizations in the paddock. But it will be fun to see. Very happy that we got a young driver winning a championship, which I think is always good for building a younger fan base. You're also looking at next year where NBC, I believe, carries 14 of the 17 races.
Ooh, that's spicy. That's real spicy. I like that.
Of course, we're not going to talk about it on this episode, but the schedule did come out this last week, so we'll bring it up. Iowa returns, obviously, but Belle Isle lost a race, so now it's just one race, which makes me sad. But
it made me sad too.
And Texas, I think, still has a doubleheader. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Someone would have. Let me IndyCar schedule. Well, I know you're listening. No, Texas only has one race.
Okay.
I guess.
Are there any double? I don't think there's any doubleheaders, is there?
Iowa's the only double.
Iowa, but that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. It
Iowa's
deserves it.
Iowa return to Toronto, which was good. So yeah. So
I also want to talk a little bit about Long Beach as a season finale, which I thought was phenomenal and really fun. I just think like going to Laguna Seca is going to be kind of a buzzkill of a finale. Like it's not going to have like it felt
doesn't
like
have the
Long
same
Beach
atmosphere.
always has atmosphere. So like adding the championship to it is going to make it even better. Really, the only way I could see it getting better than Long Beach is maybe having it in Nashville, but we would probably have to make some changes to the layout.
They need to do something with that Nashville track because that race was fun and it was interesting, but it was atrocious.
That's why I said like if they did something to the layout, maybe straightened up that first section a little more to where it's not like tight chicane. Straighten it out. Like we got barriers there for a reason. Reinforce them. Do whatever you got to do because I think IndyCar needs to be in Nashville. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, I'm biased and I had a lot of fun and like
another thing.
I was there, but
they could always go back to the super speedway as an extra race, not to replace the race downtown. But
that's
super speedway wouldn't be a bad idea if they want to. They could totally do 2 races in Nashville and be okay if you had them separated by enough. And plus, they're 2 completely different races, right? It's not like you're running the same course twice. And probably if you go to the super speedway, that'll probably bring in more folks that aren't from directly in the metropolitan area. So I don't know. I don't get paid to make the decisions. I don't get paid at all. So,
but in the name of IndyCar finale is like I really enjoyed it being in live. If I feel like all the drivers enjoyed it being in Long Beach, everyone in the industry enjoyed it being in Long Beach. The fans liked it in Long Beach. Obviously, the tradition is whatever it is. It's going to be in March this next season. That's probably where it's going to stay. But that street course city feel finale, like that's why I brought up Nashville. Like I feel like Nashville's probably the only locale that can match it, track withstanding.
St. Pete probably couldn't, right?
St. Pete probably could.
So Nashville would be tough just because when your season ends, football started, so you'd have to work around the Titans' schedule. That'd be the only thing I see being an issue there. And same thing probably with St. Pete. You'd be working around the Buccaneers' schedule, so.
That's true, and that sucks.
Yeah, but football's king of the United States. Now we get to talk about Davey. Davey always had a fun time last fall talking about silly. Here we go, silly season.
I was sick of talking about silly season because I couldn't wait to get to the good stuff. The philosophical racing stuff.
I think we did enough of that.
Fair enough.
Simon Pagenaud, in a move that everyone saw coming for like a couple months now, and Meyer Shank Racing announced he'll take over the 60 car, so he'll join Helio Castroneves, so the 2 former Penske teammates, over there at Shank for 2022. We like that, right?
I like that. I like Simon. I don't really like Helio that much, but it is what it is. How can I not like Helio? Because he's fake.
Davey, my mic ain't even picking up half the things I'm saying. It's great. It's a great thing.
It's great. I'm happy for Simon because I like Simon. But Helio's always been a little weird for me.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Watched him win the Indy 500 this year, so whatever.
I was happy for Shank. I was happy for Michael Shank.
All right. Well, with that, good for Pagenaud, good for Shank. We love it.
Good for Pagenaud, good for Shank. I am so happy to see Shank successful in IndyCar. He has a Dinner with Racers episode where he talks about how badly he wanted to be competitive and happy in IndyCar. I talk about that stupid podcast all the time. I don't care.
Other podcasts, never talking about ours.
I always talk about ours. Are you kidding me?
You have the merch on? I have the merch.
It's not hoodie weather yet.
Remember to go to linked in the description below, the JTN merch store. Get your Fake Racers podcast merch now.
You know what? On the topic of that, I have a bet to place on Talladega, and it's gonna be a shirt purchase.
Okay. But
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about when we get to our picks.
Okay.
We'll talk about when we get to our picks. Get off my neck. Can't have anything nice here.
Let's go to some Xfinity Series news. Daniel Hemrick is going to join Colleague Racing in the 11 car next year. I honestly don't. I see this as a step up for him in terms of he will probably be more of a focus for his team, right? I think it's pretty obvious he's probably not the focus at Gibbs, which isn't anything against Gibbs, but Daniel Hemrick he's only been the focus of his team maybe once in his career.
Gibbs likes to focus on race winners.
56 top fives without a win.
That's insane. That is such a stupid statistic.
You tell me another driver that can finish second like 13 times and not actually win a race or whatever the number. And he probably should have won Atlanta earlier this year too. So let's be real for a second.
Get real.
So Hemrick continues to shuffle around. It leaves open, 3 seats at Gibbs. There's the rumors are that Gibbs will be 3 cars. Pretty much at least 1 seat open, which would be the 20, or 54, whatever they decide to do number wise. Put Brandon Jones in the 20. I doubt they do that because obviously he's going to be there because it's all about the money.
You got the money.
And then obviously Ty Gibbs will be probably in the 18. Because he is very much deserving of being in the 18 car.
So who's in the supposed 3rd car, Joe?
I don't know. It's Toyota's developmental system.
Who's available?
I wouldn't be surprised if they make their 3rd car their all-star car. But Kyle Busch has said that he doesn't want to do any more Xfinity races. So I don't know. I don't know. But Truex and Bell ran races as well as Denny Hamlin in the 54. So, maybe you continue that all-star car. Maybe give Bubba a couple races, which I think could help him. And Kurt Busch too. Yeah. So maybe you turn that into your all-star car.
That's actually, wow. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's almost like Bubba should have probably been in that 54 car a couple times this year or something.
Yeah.
If Toyota actually cared about his development. Just saying.
They don't.
No, they don't.
Come on.
He's there because Denny Hamlin cares about his development, not because of Toyota.
He's bringing fat stacks.
Well, I don't know who takes that other seat though, because the Toyota pipeline. I mean, John Hunter. If you're gonna run a full time, that would be.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Was John Hunter.
So maybe that's the route.
He'll probably show out in that ride and battle Ty Gibbs a lot, and
he's got a couple races
him in good position.
Too.
It puts him in a good position to get a good Cup ride in the future.
Yep, I think that's probably why Hemrick ended up going to Colleague, because there's going to be a second Cup seat. He has Cup experience.
Yeah.
Didn't really tear up too much equipment. Didn't run great, but RCR as a whole probably didn't run too great. I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe Hemrick probably sees a easier pathway to Cup by going back to Chevy than he does staying with Toyota, which is a very valid assumption to make. Double thumbs up from Joe. Portland will be added to the Xfinity Series schedule in place of, I believe, Mid-Ohio is what the rumor is, right?
Yeah, it was funny how it worked out because the news was Portland rumored to be on Xfinity's schedule, and it's like Adam Stern saying it. And it's like, oh, cool. Awesome. Portland, woo. Everyone's really excited. And then Bob Parkers is like, looks like it's replacing Mid-Ohio. And everyone's like, wait, no, not like that. Yeah. Which I'm sad. The Mid-Ohio Xfinity Series race I always thought was quite good. Quite fun.
I hate taking another race away from the Midwest, man. Why? What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I get it, the South is your demographic and whatever. You took a race away from Michigan to add a second Darlington. Fine, whatever. But Lordy, why? Mid-Ohio, gone. Portland. And I'm not going to be the guy that's going to talk about, the population out west, they're moving away from out west, they're moving to the middle of the country now, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to be that guy. I feel like IndyCar has a nice stranglehold on the northwest region of the country, and I don't know how much you have to gain by going out there with an Xfinity race. You probably have something to gain. but I don't know how much it really is a gain.
I think if it were an oval race, we would maybe be closer to having that discussion, but I think the fact that it is a road race might attract more people than you think.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah, probably in conjunction with like a Trans Am race too that weekend in Orca.
Now, it would have been beautiful for an Xfinity IndyCar doubleheader, but I know we had that with Indy and all that fun stuff, so.
Yeah. Well, and I doubt they do something like that just because they probably won't want to run that race that late in the year.
Yeah.
So, and they probably don't want the Xfinity Series showed in IndyCar because people at NASCAR think like.
Man, we're gonna go on a deep dive on some of this stuff in the off season, man.
It's gonna be a fun off season. We're gonna have so much fun. The snow's gonna start falling up here. The leaves will fall off the trees down there, maybe. It'll be great.
It won't be as deep green.
It'll be a little more yellow. There's some news about next gen practices next year. This I find this very fun.
Can't wait to hear your thoughts on this.
Supposedly,
as a man of engineering,
that doesn't necessarily want to be an engineer anymore. Double thumbs up. 30 minutes of practice, most weekends. Then straight to qualifying. No adjustments underneath the car allowed. I wrote LMFAO. It's a new car. That's what I wrote in the show sheet, just for everyone at home. There's your little deep dive behind the scenes, JTN. What are we doing? What, like, if the purpose of the next gen car is to close the barrier between the rich teams and the poor teams, what's the best way to do that? It's to have practice with the cheap car instead of, letting the rich teams continue to invest in multi-million-dollar software, simulation software. Pick their setup going into the race weekend. Like, 30 minutes? You can't do anything in 30 minutes on this next-gen car. You can do nothing. So, like, and that's not like, oh, the NASCAR's not going to allow you. No, you just don't have the time.
Yeah.
These drivers won't know how these cars are going to handle. There's already a bunch of reports about how the rack and pinion steering, a lot of them are very uncomfortable with it, and that's just from a lack of experience with it. But it's still scary.
It just doesn't make sense, especially when there are solutions that are so easy to find.
Like, what?
If you want to one day show it, I'm gonna let you go in because I know you got a lot to say about it. If you want to one day show it, if you want to do this quick wham 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 kind of thing that they're doing, one day show the series, Sunday morning, 2-hour practice. Run straight to qual, like half hour later, let all the cars cool down, run straight to qual, line the cars up, and freaking race them. It's not difficult. It's not hard.
So,
I don't understand, like, why 30-minute sessions, no changes available underneath the car. I don't know what exactly underneath the car means or what it entails.
So,
what that excludes and what that includes.
So, real quick, remember the new car has a sheet underneath of it.
The flat. Yeah.
Makes it flat, which will create an ungodly amount of lift, by the way.
I've tried. I know. But I have some big old roof flaps.
Can't wait for that big ass spoiler. I don't care. I said it. Dale Jr. said it on TV. I could say it on our podcast.
Them chugging roof flaps may be like this big.
Dude, they're gonna be bigger than me.
The whole roof hatch flies.
The deck lid just opens up. No, but we have been told now for the last 2 years we can't. First, we were told because of COVID, which I completely understood. Can't practice and qualify because of COVID. This year we were told, well, we didn't expect to be running this car, so we want to save money. So we're not going to run practice and qualifying. You know what? Fine. Sure. I'm good with it. If this is a 1-year thing,
fair.
Fine. I understand. Save money coming out of the pandemic. You're probably seeing your sponsors are seeing less ROI, so they're paying you less. I get it.
Save big money at Menards, man.
Yes. If this is supposed to be a new era for the sport, wouldn't you want your teams and your drivers, your engineers, your crew guys to have as much experience with the new car out of the gate as humanly possible?
Would make a lot of sense for that to be the case.
Like, I think there's 4 tests in the off season, and then there'll be tire tests and stuff. Explain to me how running at Daytona, because I'm sure we'll have like 3-hour-long sessions at Daytona for no. But then we won't get them at, Las Vegas and Bristol and all these other tracks. Explain to me how that makes any sense.
I can't, Joe.
Besides saving money, besides being greedy.
Can't do it.
It's a greed move. That's all it is. It's so frustrating to watch them tiptoe their way. First start tiptoeing the way, now full on sprinting their way towards becoming an entertainment brand instead of a motorsport. From day one, I don't like spec cars. I don't like spec series because you're taking the engineering out of it. Once you take the engineering out of it, it's not a sport if it's engineering. There's a lot of big brain muscles. Let me tell you. Once you take the engineering side out of it, you take it down just to the driver, which that's all everyone ever talks about. Oh, we want the drivers to drive the cars. Once everyone's driving the same thing, it's entertainment. It's not sport. You can tell me all you want that the NFL playing field is level. It's not. Some teams have smarter people that know how to dissect film better than others. Some people have better coaches. Some people have better motivators, better health staffs. Like all these other sports, everyone always wants to talk about the playing field being less even in NASCAR than any other sport. It's not. I don't get it because, listen, Davey, your football club, the Tottenham Hotspurs, is that correct?
I mean, very technically, but yeah, it is. It's Tottenham Hotspur.
Hotspur. Sorry,
yeah,
my apologies.
No Tottenham. S, and if you refer to them, you can just call them Spurs.
Spurs. Okay. Okay. Well,
the team is Spurs.
Spurs.
Not the
Spurs. Jesus. Freaking European football classism over there sitting next to me. You can't tell me that a Premier League team doesn't have the best nutritionists in all of Europe, heck, in all the world. You can't tell me that they don't have the best algorithms for their film study in the world. You can't tell me that they don't have all these things and then tell me that the playing field is even, because it's not. Money. Baseball, for example. Baseball doesn't have a salary cap. So you have the New York Yankees with the highest payroll in the league, always able to hire the best players. Yes.
I was raising my hand for our audio listeners. Here's the difference, Joe. And here's the difference coming from someone who has driven an equipment that maybe wasn't better than some of the people around me is before. And this is my viewpoint on this as that person who has been there. Mm-hmm. The difference in those sports is there are ways you can overcome those disadvantages. A soccer team that may not have the money of, listen, I don't know American sports, so I'm going to have to use soccer. A soccer team that may not have the money of like a Manchester City, Manchester United, maybe they're in the second division, because they'll play together at some point, I'm sure. But they still find ways to overcome those disadvantages because you can work as a team and you can get those things to work in a way, and you can surprise the other team. You can do this, you can do that. There's strategy, there's tactics that you can use. There's individual brilliance. In motorsport, you're only as quick as your equipment can go. I don't care how many times. No one outdrives equipment because that doesn't exist. No one outdrives equipment because that doesn't exist, Joe. The equipment can only go as fast as it can go. You can't make it go fast. You can't will it to go faster. If the fastest guy in the world gets in the equipment and he drives it at that equipment, that is as fast as the equipment can go.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot go faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is.
Completely disagree with that.
How can you disagree with that?
Because you can look at, I mean, all these different stats about driver ratings. You can get things like Pure. You can look at all these different statistics that take out the equipment and find that some drivers are just better than other drivers. Like there's ways to completely narrow it down to the athlete, the driver. You know, one good player on a baseball team can probably make it so their run differential is 10, 15 runs less in a season.
Yeah, but Corey LaJoie's never going to win an Aspire car at a track that requires the car. At a 550 track on a mile and a half, right. He's never going to win a race in that car.
True.
He never will.
Maybe Corey LaJoie doesn't.
Speed.
But you couldn't tell. Kyle Larson could. A guy that maybe has better...
No, he could not.
Whoa. It's technically in the realm of possibility.
He could not.
So don't say he could not, because he could. You could say it's unlikely that he would. That's a more accurate statement.
He won't. He won't. Put him in that car for 5 seasons.
I mean,
he's not
Justin
winning a race.
Haley won a race in a Spire car. Was it random luck? Sure.
Extreme extraneous circumstances. No one overcame anything. That's the thing. But that's not the argument you're making. That's not the argument you're making, though. The argument you're making is there's disadvantages and advantages, and this person can do this. There's always going to be people that do this. Okay, but in those sports, players can still overcome those disadvantages. A driver can only go as fast. No, they cannot. No, they cannot. If the car can only go as fast as it can go, that's as fast as it can go. Kyle Larson's not winning an Aspire car. I'm sorry.
I mean, Kyle Larson has won 6 races in the car that Jimmy Johnson drove to no wins in the last 2 seasons, so...
Correct. Yeah, you're right. And that's fine.
Okay, but doesn't that disprove exactly what you're saying?
I am saying that car is, at least this year, quick enough to win those races. Not every driver is going to drive that car to its absolute capability. The absolute capability of the car matches the absolute capability of the driver that's in it. The ceiling is here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Kyle Larson is the most talented driver in the Cup Series. Kyle Larson's ceiling is here. Maybe Jimmy Johnson's at 46 years old or however old he is here. And then Bowman's here. And then Corey LaJoie, maybe he's here. But the ceiling's still here. The car is still here.
Mm-hmm.
Drivers can't overcome this. If there's a driver better than Kyle Larson, then we find out that the ceiling of the car maybe is a little taller. But the ceiling of the car remains the same because you can't physically make it faster than physics will allow the car to go. The Spire car ceiling is probably down here. And there's probably not many drivers that are going to show us that the ceiling is any higher. Corey LaJoie has performed very well in that car. Maybe Kyle Larson's ceiling, most talented, like the most talented driver in the Cup Series, their ceiling is the same as the fastest car's ceiling, and it will not go above that.
Then how does the ceiling move? Because you just said it moved. Because if the ceiling for the 48 team was here, and Jimmy Johnson was driving the car to its best ability, all of a sudden it's here because Kyle Larson's in the car.
Well, then guess what? Jimmy Johnson wasn't. Well, because Jimmy Johnson wasn't here. Jimmy Johnson was here.
You can't say.
But you're
the cause
trying.
And effect? What's the cause and effect?
The cause and effect is a talented driver is driving the car at its capability. Jimmy Johnson, we found out, was not driving the car at its capability.
So you're saying drivers can't elevate their equipment? Then
no,
that's your argument.
No, unless they help develop it, unless they are good at setting up cars, unless they give good feedback.
Right.
They cannot elevate the car in a situation in a game. A driver cannot okay, yeah, no, this car's gonna go faster now. I'm just gonna push it. You can't do that.
But you
can make adjustments, but taking out the wedge in a car, taking out the wedge of a Spire car is not going to make it a race-winning race car. I'm sorry. It could make it faster, but that's the capability of the car. The capability of the car stays the same.
We're arguing two sides of the same coin, right?
No, because you're saying something that's impossible, and I'm saying something that's right.
No. Because there's more to a driver than what they do on the track, right? There's got to be more than that. And that's my whole point is, if I can find a way back to it after all your senseless babbling. I wanted to throw that hook in there.
I made more sense than you did the whole entire time.
You. I don't even know what the point. A driver can own equipment.
No, they can't.
You just said they could. So what you're saying is,
I'm talking about
no.
If we are in a race.
Let me tell you how I'm understanding, and then you tell me where I'm getting this wrong. My understanding of you, you're saying the car is here, driver can only go to here, and the only way the driver can go up is if the car goes up first. So if there's a progression, the car is always going to be ahead of the driver. Because in theory, there can never be a spot where they're at equilibrium, where they're the same. Because if a driver's driving the car to its same ability, we don't say teams stop getting better or worse. Like they're never stationary, never static. So what you're saying is the driver is capped off. He can only be as high. So if say the equipment's here, and then all of a sudden, say this is their 550, say this is what they are at Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
In the spring, and then all of a sudden they're here for Las Vegas in the fall. The driver cannot perform at the same level that they did in the spring. That is what you're saying.
Correct.
So the driver can't perform, here. He can perform here, he can perform here, but he can't perform here. He can't perform anywhere above.
You can't drive faster than your equipment. I'm sorry. There's no one out there that outdrives their equipment. It's just a false statement. No one outdrives equipment. Equipment goes as fast as it can go.
Okay, so then drivers don't make their equipment better.
On the racetrack, driving it, no, they don't. Possibly giving feedback, yeah, they can make it better.
The adjustments make it better. But
why the adjustments make it better.
Why do you not consider that part of the sport then? Why is a driver's brain being able to make good adjustments on a car not a valuable asset?
Because raising the right rear track bar a quarter of an inch, lowering the wedge by this much is not going to make the car a race-winning race car. It's going to maybe move it like an inch on this scale.
Okay. But, 40 teams out there, that age-old saying, we're racing 39 other teams. We're not playing one-on-one games.
And also, like we're also speaking about equipment. We're not speaking like we're speaking about equipment. Like it doesn't change the equipment that he's in. It just changes the physics of like the geometry of that equipment. The physics stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
The equipment stays the same. It can still only go as fast as that equipment will allow itself to go. It's just tweaked to go a little bit faster than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Not by much. Again, a Spire car getting a pit road adjustment is not going to make it a race-winning race car.
Right, but it could improve it by 5 spots.
Okay, but
any improvement
that's still like.
But your whole argument hinges on.
All I hear about is this nonsense about Kyle Larson outdrives every race car he's in. That's not possible. It's just a false statement. Yeah, he drives it to its capability, but like there's no such thing as outdriving your equipment, which makes your argument about all this stuff. Those teams there's always advantages and disadvantages, and like people overcome. Like you can't overcome your equipment.
It's not about overcoming your equipment.
Making it better to the point some of these teams need to make it better doesn't happen like as quickly as like drivers are improving the equipment. They're out driving the equipment.
I'm trying to say it was a night and day. Just trying to say that the driver can do something, help improve the equipment over time, just like a nutritionist can help improve a football time, or a strength and conditioning coach help improve a football team time, or all these other things. There's always going to be an advantage and disadvantage to the way we conduct our practices, our race weekend, because there's always going to be a team with a little bit more money, a little bit more resources, better people, smarter people, it'll be able to take advantage of those things. The argument was never supposed to be. Maybe I went on my stupid little tangents. Not going to admit I'm wrong because I don't think I am. But the argument was never that driver A will overcome the odds of their race car. It was that driver A can make their race car better over time. Over time. Not over laps, but over time. The point where you're seeing those gains week in and week out, standings wise. Because the thing about a sport like NASCAR, a motorsport, not even just NASCAR, is we don't see these things happen day and night. Eric Almirola didn't win at New Hampshire because he all of a sudden flipped the switch in the Stewart-Haas racing shop to win him a race. He won the race at New Hampshire because for years that 10 team has been really good at that track, and all of a sudden then they capitalized on it, right? It's not your argument is against the fact that in a lot of other sports it's a flip of the switch, not that it's a gradual thing over time. I think that's where your argument lays. That in terms of the flip of the switch in this case scenario is that the driver all of a sudden performs here. The car stays here. Because the car can't catch up with the driver, right? If the driver all of a sudden is this good in this race, the car can't be like, right? That's your argument.
Something like that, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
That wasn't the point I was trying to make, but you're not wrong. How about that? Does that make you happy?
I'm happy. Okay. I'm so happy. I've been happy the whole time.
Toyota's David Wilson states all manufacturers are behind on next-gen development. We're not surprised.
Nope. Is that it? We're moving on.
Yeah, because we were in there for like 20 minutes, maybe. I don't know. No, we're not surprised, especially after the test at Daytona proved that the cars were way too hot.
There's a point with what I said back when I started saying that, but we both argued about it for so long that I think we both forgot the point.
What?
Okay, good talk. Thanks.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
What was the point?
Solid.
I said, what was the point?
I didn't hear that. I forgot. That's why I was...
Okay. Well, this weekend we do have a track where the driver probably can really affect the way the equipment runs. More so than any other track, maybe a road course. Ha ha ha.
It's funny because, yes and no, technically, kind of in a way.
Exactly. Talladega, we got trucks at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock on Saturday, then Xfinity at 4:30, and then the Cup Series at 2 o'clock on Sunday. So the trucks are at 1 o'clock on Saturday. I will probably be watching football, so I will have to bring out the second TV to be able to
watch NASCAR.
I'm sorry. My University of Michigan Wolverines head to Madison, Wisconsin to take on the Wisconsin Badgers.
Lame.
And I'll probably have to watch Notre Dame. I digress. Truck Series. Trucks are interesting because they only race here at Talladega once a year. A lot of young drivers. Playoffs. Trucks are stupid a lot of times late in the race. Davey's pick is Parker Kligerman. My pick.
It is. I'm not going to refute that at all.
I'm going to go ahead and go with, drum roll, please, Ben Rhodes.
Not him.
He won at Daytona.
I was gonna say his nickname, but I can't. I'm not gonna.
The Xfinity Series, race 2.
Real spicy.
Like the Colleague cars will obviously be really good.
Yeah.
Jeb Burton won this race in the spring. I don't think he repeats. Who would you be your pick?
I'm gonna go Landon Castle.
I'm gonna go take a big shot in the dark here.
Oh.
This guy needs a win. He needs to prove that he deserves his run with Riley Herbst.
Wow.
I have a feeling he's about to do some crazy stuff. And I think he was pretty good at Daytona. I do recall, and then probably got involved in something.
That's fun.
Cup Series. So this is what we're going to do for the Cup Series race. We're going to pick one playoff driver And we're going to pick one non-playoff driver, and you also have a bet to tell me.
I do have a bet.
So
I forgot the bet.
It was something for a shirt.
Yeah. What was it gonna be? It was gonna be dumb. It was gonna be like highest finishing Rick Ware car or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, pick a non-playoff driver to win this race.
Ryan Preece.
Bubba Wallace.
Probably a better pick, but I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with
43
the
of
Preece.
Eric Jones will also be pretty good.
He will be. Genuinely, actually.
He was really good at Vegas, and then they did the Hendrick strategy. Jerry Baxter.
True.
Jerry Baxter. Playoff guy.
Playoff guys. Oh. Heavens to Betsy, that's tough.
I feel like it's
Chase Elliott's gonna cause a wreck, so I'm not gonna pick him.
Matt DiBenedetto also would have been a good pick for.
We really don't talk enough about how Chase Elliott causes like every third wreck on a super speedway.
Well, Chase Elliott does nothing wrong ever.
Correct.
So.
You're right. My bad.
Him getting wrecked at Bristol was definitely not his fault. It was just Kevin Harvick's fault.
Ooh, Joe, I'm gonna speak to your heart on this one. Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick.
It's a lame pick, but playoff drivers are all lame.
Kyle Larson didn't get to run like a single lap here in the spring.
L.
That'd be pretty funny if he won.
Massive L.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick Ryan Blaney then.
Ooh, Penske duo.
Joey Logano would probably be just. It'll probably be a Penske if they do not crap themselves like they tend to do. Especially Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski getting involved in each other's crap
all the time.
It's mainly Joey, but whatever.
Regardless,
still telling you, I still think that's the main reason why Brad's leaving Penske, but whatever. One
day we're gonna get like an all-access Brad Keselowski book, and we're gonna learn that for sure. I'd love to hit like Kyle Busch stuff, man.
He's so good. But I'll go ahead. I'll take Blaney just because I don't want to pick Logano. Look at there's Bristol. Oh, they
Bristol made it. Bristol made it.
I see his.
Bristol made it. Hey, Bristol boy.
He's in this. Good job, Bristol. What a good boy. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Fake Racers podcast. Davey, where can they find more information from you?
They can find more information on me on my Instagram at D7H5, where you can see me racing in underfunded equipment that isn't quite as good, so sometimes I'm maybe not always the fastest driver out there. On Twitter at Davey Hazard, and on Twitch at D7H5 with an ER at the end. Make sure you follow me really quickly before Joe goes and reports all my social media accounts because I made him mad.
I don't know how he made. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you're here on YouTube. Hit the follow button if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform. You can follow Johto Network at Johto Network on Facebook and Twitter, youtube.com/Johto Network. Hit the like on the video, please, 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 please. Share it with your friends. That's always appreciated. Remember, you can go to circlediecast.com, use code JTN at checkout for free shipping on your order of $20 or more.
Wow, that was good.
Head on over to the JTN. I say it like every freaking broadcast. You can also head on over to the JTN merch store. You can get some Davey Hazard merch, some Matthew Steelman merch. Matthew, we miss you.
I hope AT&T lets you go soon.
Man, go follow him on Twitter to see his little AT&T rants. They're great.
They're never ending.
He got into it with one of the representatives, and the representative was just like, "Oh, private message me," and he's like, "No." It was so funny.
Oh my gosh,
it was great. But make sure you check out his stuff too. I'll link it in the description below.
Yes.
But guys, thank you so much for watching. Bristol appreciates you. Davey appreciates you. I appreciate you.
I do.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Tell us what you think down below about anything we talked about or anything we should talk about next week. And we can't wait to talk with you guys next week on the Fake Racers podcast.
Goodbye.